Good evening, and this is my milestone task for Module 2. I have chosen the workshop Educational Belonging, Fostering Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion in Schools. And this is my story from the perspective of a participant. And what I've done here is that I have color coded each one of the inquiries. So I've numbered them based on the inquiry. So if we see the first one, it's labeled number 1 and it's in black with the black outline. And the first task or the first artifact that we were working with was on trying to establish the definition of what is DEI and what it looks like in the classroom. And that's how I came up with this drawing. This is what my classroom looks like. This is DEI. And this is a picture that I downloaded from this article called Embracing Diversity and Inclusion. So part of the task required that we went onto the internet and did some research about what DEI is and that we chose an image to work with. So this image is the central component of this task and my story throughout the whole of the workshop. Now, for the second inquiry, we were creating a headline. That headline was based on the understanding of what is DEI and the experiences that we establish in a classroom where we ensure there is DEI led to me creating this headline, Learning and Enriching Each Other Through Collaboration. So in my picture, you're able to see all the different people, and I tried to find a picture that had a huge representation of different beliefs, different roles in life, different genders, different ethnicities, ideally nationalities, evidently different languages, of course, abilities, and even though we can't really see it, one could think that it's also ages. So with this diversity, once we establish that this is what we mean by diversity, we can then move on into what equity and inclusion are. So the whole story of the workshop helps us to explore each of these concepts and see how they come to life in the classroom. That leads us then to the third inquiry, which was again working with the same artifact, but we were supposed to create, and right here we go, apologies, inquiry 3, we were looking at why inclusion matters. And I've labeled number 3 right here. First of all, inclusion gives equal access to everybody in the classroom. It ensures that there are multiple voices heard, that we focus on ability rather than disability, that we give the group choice, that we enhance interactions, and of course, different ways of giving students choice. So I found that very useful because on this picture, we can actually see how all these come to life. So that was inquiry 3. We then moved to inquiry 4, which is labeled here in pink, equity and needs. And what we were doing on this particular one was to consider what practices lead to more equitable outcomes. So, exploring what we're already doing in the classroom, some of the key elements were flexible seating, open questions in order to enhance dialogue between class members, feeling that they were in a safe space and they're able to speak up and express their ideas without any issues, fairness in terms of enforcing the rules. It's the same rules for everyone. A multiplicity of perspectives, and this is very clear in a classroom where there is a huge level of diversity. And of course, awareness of all the different voices. So again, I put it right here and I underlined all of the members of my classroom so that I could highlight how equity plus needs go hand in hand, and they create an environment that really allows students to feel that they are part of a bigger group. And this led us to the next inquiry, number 5. And I've labeled inquiry number 5 with the brown color. Why is belonging, uncertainty, an epidemic in schools? And what I tried to do was to highlight this student outside of my ready-made classroom as the student that doesn't feel that they belong. They have that belonging uncertainty. And in this module, we explored the possibilities of intervening as teachers in order to help the student come back into the circle and have that feeling of belonging. Now, this inquiry links really nicely to the sixth one. So 5 and 6 go hand in hand because those interventions should be considered within all these 5 different realms. So I'm going to make it a little bit bigger just so that we can see. And what we were looking for was to look at the intersection between engagement and belonging. So thinking about the interventions that the teacher will do, trying to bring the student at this level where they feel they belong, we have the different modes of intervention and support. And so I've given some examples here. So for example, if we have one-to-one type of conversations where we enhance collaboration between different members of the classroom so that we can look at the social element. We then have counseling, for example, when students need some sort of external counseling that's not done by the teacher, we're looking at behavioral. Then we're looking at play as part of that physical element. And then we look at different perspectives for cultural. And then we look at integration of different, and this is so tiny here, integrate collectivity and collaboration. So that one goes with intellectual. Again, groups will nurture themselves by collaborating with each other. And that's where we see that intersectionality between inquiry 5 and 6. Now going back, zooming out a little bit again, we go into inquiry 7, which is where we discuss well-being. And well-being and belonging, they go hand in hand. And what I've done here is that I've used orange to highlight all the elements within a classroom and those things that we as teachers need to do to ensure that there is well-being amongst our students. We also have discussed before the importance of well-being in the school community, but when looking at the classroom, we're looking at positive relationships, respect of the multiple perspectives, having that moment to listen to student voices, have an open, free classroom where people can understand that they can say anything that they are prepared to say. Optimism above everything, and of course, open dialogues. That open dialogue is also supported by these types of questions. So we then see well-being as an integral part, and we move then to inquiry 8 with culturally responsive teaching. And the big question here is, how do I create a classroom where all belong? And it's a very straightforward answer. That was a very interesting way of looking at different cultures. It's kind of bringing things now all together, being empathetic and caring, acknowledging the different beliefs and cultures. So everything that I've presented already in the picture is just to make us more aware of this is what we want. um, be, as a teacher, self reflective of our own cultures and at the same time try to be knowledgeable about other cultures. Then we move on to inquiry 9, and we're starting to bring things now to a closure, and that is, how do we foster DEI? Um, an action plan, is that what we should create? By looking at the policies. So there's a link between the actions that we're going to take in the school and the policies that we establish to ensure that we have all these elements within the classroom. So here is that moment where participants, as participants, we begin to make those actions and we begin to think about the things that we can begin doing in school. And that leads to our very last inquiry, which is the what now? Where do we go from here? What do we do? So we've started with our action plan. We thought about the policies that we want to implement, but from there, where do we go? And with this, we have our final action plan. We could have an opportunity with the facilitator to open up a specific group within the program communities on MyIB where we can establish that community and share our understandings, share our experiences, share everything that we have done, and then move forward and see as a community how we grow. Share our experiences post workshop so that we can see what's working, what's not working, so that we can see the impact of all those different cultures. And with that, I want to say thank you for taking the time to listen to my presentation and to go through my experience as a participant in this workshop. Bye.